My name's Jeremy Johnson. I'm currently doing a PhD at UCL in the Dementia Research Centre with Professor Jason Warren, who is my primary supervisor, and I have a secondary supervisor, Doris Bamu. Jason is a neurologist by training and has an interest in dementia, neurodegenerative diseases, and looks at what you would call systems neuroscience. So that's brain behaviour at a more modular level. And Doris is an audiologist, so her expertise is in hearing, more from a peripheral perspective, i.e. what the ears do and how they interact with sound, but also has an interest in how the brain processes sound. My PhD project is essentially trying to create a diagnostic tool. We know that the brain has to analyze sound, and computationally that's very demanding. It's a highly complex task and has to happen rapidly because of the nature of sound waves. So the idea behind it was to see if, using various strategically designed auditory tests, we can probe different aspects of how the brain decomposes and creates meaning out of sounds. So that will be different things like, how does the brain appreciate pitch? How does it appreciate timbre? How does it localize sounds in space? And the hope is that patients with various types of dementia, so there are subgroup syndromes, have different brain network dysfunction depending on what the protein involved is, and that will give rise to an auditory phenotype. What's quite nice about this is that it's readily clinically applicable, and if it works, it's quite easy to scale it, and it gives you a functional measure over time. I think the ideal scenario would be that if it was able to pick up changes that were subtle, pre-symptomatic changes, because then you could roll it out potentially on a web-based platform for people to use. So my background is actually that I am a clinician primarily. I qualified from medical school and ended up doing neurology as a specialty, and I'm approaching the end of my neurology training and decided to do a PhD for a variety of reasons. So the reason I ended up where I did was based on a hierarchy of choice. I spoke to a lot of people who had completed PhDs, and each of them really said the same thing, which is that the supervisor is the most important choice that you make. And if you were to divide it up into a hierarchy, it would be supervisor first, department second, and project third. So I spoke to a lot of people. I think I probably spoke to at least 10 different people as potential supervisors. Discovered that I shared a lot of common interests with my current supervisor. We got on well, it felt easy to talk, and I think we had a fair degree of overlap in experimental vision. He gave me a lot of space, opportunity to go and explore other things, which I really appreciated. And then the rest of it really fell into place after that. The DRC, where I'm doing it, is a well-recognized center for dementia research. But the reason I went for it is because it has all the tools in place in order to do what I need to do. The other aspect we talked about was where to do your research, and obviously I'm doing mine at UCL. I think that some of the things I would say about UCL that are great are the fact that being a very large and heavily integrated center for research, particularly in neurosciences, means that it's quite easy to find people rapidly to help you with specific problems, or if you need to use various technologies from different groups, it's very helpful to be able to readily access people who are leaders in that area. And because of its network of connections, it means that you have the opportunity to reach out to a really global network of researchers. And finally, I think what I would say is that if you are somebody like me who is crossing both a clinical and a research domain, then being attached to a hospital like, for example, UCL and Queen Square is very, very useful, and it's just something to think about. I think if you want to be dealing with patients and close to them, then having a setup like that is probably a really good idea.